we thought we'd give it an hour because, who knows what's going to come through. Tons of stuff to already catch up on in the first hour. Plenty of things that are going to be happening over the course of the next few hours, next few days, next few weeks as well. But I'm here, Garrett Price, Rich Dotson. How you doing, man?
Yo, it's Stone Swell here. I'm excited to be here because I'm usually not on the free agency show we do for the regular podcast. It'll be you and Matt this week, and I'm usually on spring break. So it's good to see and talk some free agents here and kind of live how it's all after it's all really going down. Because this all starts at the combine, right? This is all right. This all goes down. All these deals really have been in place for a while, negotiated back and forth, bringing from one team to another. Like, hey, Giants, like the Chiefs are offering this, and they're like, dude, we got Cam Scatterboo. Like, and that's all I'm really doing. Like, everybody else is like on free agency watch. I'm just on Cam Scatterboo watch. Like,
me too.
Leave my bro alone. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounded like the Giants have been in on some of these bigger names, which seems wild to me. It doesn't make any sense, but let's go ahead and start with the Kenneth Walker news, because I do think that's the biggest one affecting fantasy football in general. I mean, there's a lot of ones that do, but this one has the most kind of ripple effects throughout the league. 3 years, $45 million, $29 million of that guaranteed to Kenneth Walker. And it had been kind of rumored all offseason that Kansas City is going to make a change at running back. It made it even easier that all their guys are free agents. Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, all those guys free agents right now. So with that being said, it's hard to imagine a much better team fit and player fit. The only somewhat downside is Kenneth Walker doesn't do a ton in the receiving game, but I still think he's just going to be an absolute monster here. Rich, does this catapult him inside of your top 10 dynasty running backs, top 6 dynasty running backs? Like, how high does this move him for you?
Yeah, K9 to KC. You'll love to see it. About to be 26 years old. I think he turns 26 in October. And you look at this on a team that's really been, like one of the pass heaviest teams in the NFL over the last 5 years, right? So it goes to a team that's been looking to get a run option in their game. I was a little surprised they didn't go the Travis Etienne route for the pass catching ability.
I kind of thought they would too.
But coming off a Super Bowl MVP appearance, Kenneth Walker is a very great fit for Kansas City, right? Immediately you're looking at about anywhere for about 20 yards on the ground. High in the NFL red zone. We have a guy like Pat Mahomes there, so he's got a lot of good opportunities too to actually push the ball in the end zone on the ground, which is great. I'm kind of this because Kenneth Walker has always been a can in the passing game, but not really excelled. So for me, like, I look at this as also going, hey, is this like a really good opportunity for Brashard Smith, the former receiver out there who they just brought in? Can he be the passing down running back, and does he offer flex play if he is? But now they have a run game they could easily pound on. And look for Kenneth Walker to literally hit the ground running, right? With such a late ACL tear and LCL for Pat Mahomes, they should rely on the run game early to start the season, probably for the first 4 to 5 weeks. So Kenneth Walker can literally come out booming for your dynasty teams. It's interesting. Kenneth Walker can find himself on many dynasty different teams right now, rebuilders, middle of the road, or championship caliber teams. Obviously for championship team, this is absolutely fantastic news. And if you're a team, man, I love reading screen to really use that and see if I can. Because that's power they have to get.
Rich, I'm gonna pause you real quick. For some reason your mic is struggling. I wasn't sure if it was just me, but might have to check your mic settings there. But I can't. I don't know what you just said. But I think Rich is gonna try to leave, come back. But obviously the Kenneth Walker stuff, fantastic news. I think he's right, and there's a chance that there could be some other running backs there that could still be involved in pass catching roles. But this does drastically change the dynasty landscape. I think Kenneth Walker right now, I'm gonna have to do my kind of updates, but Jonathan Taylor territory seems about right to me. Rich, go ahead and talk to us. Let's hear if your mic's going a little bit better.
I can talk. Man, I'm talking so fast.
It sounds better now, so we'll keep an eye on it. What do you think, like Jonathan Taylor type territory for Kenneth Walker now?
Yeah, you're going to get 2 years younger with him. I know it's kind of crazy to say. I think JT offers a little bit more receiving upside. That's what, my biggest curious standpoint is going to be with Kenneth Walker is like, how much is he involved in on third down? Because you have Brashard Smith there, who's really good in the passing game. Kenneth Walker's been a but not really an excel in the passing game. When it makes the forced tackles miss, Kenneth Walker is one of the best in the league there too. Did you hear me when I was talking about earlier too about like relying on him early for the first 4 weeks of the season with Mahomes injuries?
I think that's where your mic started going pretty bad. So go ahead and hit that again.
Yeah. So like, Pat Mahomes coming off the ACL and LCL, I believe as well. It was so late in the season for that first 4 weeks of the season. Like you really got to expect them to rely on the run game. And for me, I could see Kenneth Walker bringing immediate boom. And the question really comes in there, like, what do you do with Kenneth Walker, right? Like if you're the middle of the road team, like I love to capitalize on news like this and see if I can pivot to another running back that I look pretty close to as equals. Like you mentioned JT, like I don't think you're gonna get JT for him, but the Kansas City instant react news, anybody going to KC is going to be extremely ecstatic about it. Like if there's a way to pivot, like I still look at Breece Hall as somebody like, everybody's gonna look at Breece Hall is in such a bad situation. Can I pivot to him because of his pass catching ability, how versatile Breece Hall is, but also how he does excel in the passing game and a lot of weapons there. Yeah. But Kenneth Walker, again, going back to value, like, yeah, you're probably looking at that JT range because what we see here is the big number here is the guaranteed money, right? 29 million guaranteed. So at 25 years old, it'll be 26 in October. You're looking at for sure 2 years of Kenneth Walker in Kansas City. And we saw what Isaiah Pacheco could do there in Kansas City in Florida. So I think we're looking at, realistically though, Garrett, without the PPR numbers, like he could be running back 6 to running back 12, like in that range. Like okay. I'm still not 100% without knowing how he's going to be involved in third down and how he can sell there. Like if this puts him into that elite category, because you mentioned JT, like you still have, Gibbs, you still have Achane, you still got Bijan, you still have Genti.
Let me ask you some of these guys. Recent ADP. Let me ask you some of these guys. So you're saying Jonathan Taylor over Kenneth Walker still, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Travion Henderson or Kenneth Walker?
Oh, Kenneth Walker.
Okay. James Cook or Kenneth Walker? That's a tough one.
That is tough, and I'm actually going to. They're pretty much the same age. I think James Cook is actually a little bit older than Kenneth Walker by, about 6 months. I think if I go off the top of my head, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit older than that.
Almost an entire year. Kenneth Walker's 25 point, 3 or 4, and same thing with James Cook, only 26. So about a year difference.
I think actually here, Garrett, which is crazy to think, like James Cook just coming out that big extension. Also a heavy run team, so you realize you're running back a ton. I feel like I still want to go Kenneth Walker here. Just got the injury here. Another thing, like that, those oblique injuries with Kenneth Walker have been pretty consistent over the years, and James Cook's been relatively healthy. I kind of want to flip there just to get a hair younger. I think the contracts are pretty close to the same on guaranteed money. Like I want to say Kenneth Walker, but like you almost want to take the health of
James
Cook.
Yeah.
I think
and
it's fair. I think I'd go James Cook by a hair.
I think I would too. I think the other guys kind of in that range, Christian McCaffrey, Bucky Irving, Saquon Barkley. I think I'm taking Kenneth Walker over all of those guys. The only other two that would even be questionable for me are Breece Hall and Quinshawn Judkins. And I think those would be somewhat dependent on my build, my team, what I'm looking for, that kind of thing.
I would still take Breece Hall because I'm a believer. I'm a lover. So there, Quinshawn. he just turned 22 years old. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to pass on
Close.
that. But Cleveland's such a disarray right now, and you got Kenneth Walker and the Chiefs, and I'm looking at this like 2 to 3 year window kind of value. And even if people value Quinshawn now, I think Kenneth Walker with the Pat Mahomes injury and how much they're line to run, his value will surpass that, at least in that window of September. Like Quinshawn, so I think the return now and in September will be higher. So I would take Kenneth Walker over Quinshawn Junkins. I think an interesting one you mentioned too, Garrett, is like, I wonder if I'm a contender, say you have Kenneth Walker and you're a contender, right? And you're ready to compete. Christian McCaffrey is going to turn 30 years old. Like, with the immediate react of a 25-year-old signing in Kansas City and how good he looked in the playoffs, like, could I flip Kenneth Walker for Christian McCaffrey plus if I'm a contender? Like,
You might be able to. You might be able to.
Yeah, and that's
interesting one that just
what I'm
came
looking
in,
at.
Rich.
Ooh.
Interesting one. Let's go from Kenneth.
I'm way behind. So I have no idea about any of these signings.
Okay, all right. So this will surprise you a little bit, and we'll get to some of the other people that we haven't got a chance to talk to. But let's go from one Kenneth to another. Kenneth Gainwell. He just signed a 2-year deal. $14 million with Tampa Bay. We were already talking about how we were kind of selling Bucky. This isn't the type of signing I was expecting, though.
What was the contract again? Give me the contract again.
2 million or 2 years, 14 million. So $7 million a year. Now, I don't know what the guaranteed money is yet, but that's not an insignificant amount. $7 million a year for Kenny Gainwell. That's pretty good money out of the running back position. That's similar to what Javonte Williams just got, if I remember correctly.
It is
so
very similar.
So if that's the case, I was expecting the Buccaneers to add a physical bruising running back. Brian Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco, somebody like that. But Kenneth Gainwell almost scares me even more because that could potentially be taking away what I think Bucky Irving is the best at and most valuable for fantasy, which is the pass catching role.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about Bucky Irvin, and you and I have talked about Bucky Irvin being
he's been a big sell of mine.
A very slippery slope and to be a big sell because he's a running back that has lived off his rookie season only. Took a massive step back this past year in 2025, and now this contract tells you this. They gave him starter money, Kenneth Gainwell starter money, and Kenneth Gainwell is a nice. I still view this as a 1-2 kind of combo. Maybe Bucky leads, maybe Kenneth Gainwell leads. The money would tell you Kenneth Gainwell will lead. But Bucky's on a rookie contract too, so I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the cream rises top there. But Kenneth Gainwell is a very solid, serviceable running back who could be involved in a passing game, which is where you really wanted Bucky Irvin to live. But even when Bucky was like there, Rashad White was still involved in the passing game, and Bucky was still able to succeed in his rookie year. So if they're bringing him in as a change of pace back, that's fine. But either way, the only person I think that can win here, like instant react, is Kenneth Gainwell, and Bucky Irvin just loses more. Because even if it's a 1-2 combo, which the money tells you it's guaranteed to be that, right? Then Bucky's hurt there. If it's Kenneth Gainwell as a guy, and Bucky Irvin's a change of pace running back, then it's even worse.
That's devastating.
I mean, I doubt that though. I have one Bucky Irvin share left, and I've been trying to offload it. I completely overvalued him in the playoff run. I was trying to get a first plus, like I want a good plus for Bucky, and I shot myself in the foot on that one. And this is what you do this is where running backs are the most fluid position on your dynasty roster, because this is what happens. Like, things change on a dime. Their value every year changes it. So right now, like for Bucky, you're almost in a hold kind of standpoint, unless you're trading somebody like Kenneth Gainwell or try to Ken Gainwell, because like the most you could probably get is what, a 27-second for Bucky right now.
It worked out pretty well for me. You just saw a trade I made. I only have 2 Bucky shares, and one of the 2 I just traded in a big deal that more or less got me Drake May. So glad to have gotten off a decreasing asset for a guy that's sitting in a pretty good spot.
That was a terrible deal before this news.
Yeah, and it got even worse. And that was offered to me as well. That at least the initial conversation was. All right, let's get to what's going on in Colts country, because some interesting moves going on with the Colts. Alec Pierce was the one set to hit free agency, which made it seem like, okay, well, that means that if they didn't, sign any tag to him or anything like that, it must mean that we're safe with Michael Pittman Jr. The complete opposite happens all of a sudden today, just within the past couple hours. We're looking at Alec Pierce now signing, what is it, like $27 million a year?
$29 million. $29 million a year.
Ridiculous.
He's ridiculously paid. Free agency. Gotta love it.
And I love Alec Pierce. By the way, we have like well over 100 people watching right now, but we have like almost no likes. Please make sure you like while you're watching this. Appreciate you guys. But Alec Pierce getting nearly $30 million a year. And Rich, this is a player that we've talked about before. With no hate to Alec Pierce. We actually like Alec Pierce. We think he's a good player. But in no way, shape, or form do I see this being a great use of their money unless they really think he can become their wide receiver one. But usually it's guys that are already established as a wide receiver one that are getting this kind of money. Seems like a big risk to me for the Colts.
Yeah, but listen, man, nobody's gonna know Alec Pierce better, their former second round, their second round pick, than the Colts, right? This is a second round pick they made for him. He's grown into this offense. He gets a guaranteed money. And honestly, like his biggest setback has been his target share, realistically, right? Like, we knew if they re-signed him that Michael Pittman was gone. It was an easy tradable contract. That does happen. We'll talk about Michael Pittman here next. But, Alec Pierce has been, listen, first of all, free agency, people just get overpaid in free agency, right? Like, if they get a free agency, they have money to spend. They need to spend it. They got holes to fill. They got to be the highest bidder. And right now, Alec Pierce, you could argue, is overpaid. But at the same time, we just don't know. Most times, when players hit free agency like this, it's a bust kind of for the money value. And the guy, you're just waiting for that guaranteed money to go through so they can get rid of these players as soon as possible. That being said, Alec Pierce has a really good rapport with Daniel Jones. And it's probably a big reason why he stayed in Indianapolis. You remove Michael Pittman Jr. out of the one slot. They're paying him like a true number one. And Alec Pierce is somebody who's gotten better every single year he's been in the league. And this past year, he's been a big speed guy, take the top off of defense. Now will he be able to play all three levels of the field? They got Tyler Warren there for the middle. They got Josh Downs there as well. But the number one thing is he's going to be the number one receiver in this offense. And we've already seen, Shane Steichen utilize the number one receiver in a guy like Michael Pittman, right? A Michael Pittman who's not nearly athletic like Alec Pierce still would have put out like solid wide receiver 2 numbers. And that's what I expect Alec Pierce to do as well. So it's a big win there for Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones as well, because of the rapport he has and they have a player that could take the top off of a defense at the third level.
Rich, for Alec Pierce right now, if you have him in Dynasty, what's the tipping point for you of him being a buy versus being a sell? Because I know there's a lot of people that are savvy that are like, hey, I'm going to try to sell high, free agency news and whatnot. Sometimes the move is to zig when everybody else is zagging, but there is a tipping point. Like, where does it go from Alec Pierce being a value at a certain pick or price tag versus I want to get rid of him for that price tag?
Yeah, and it's usually tricky because I usually stay away from free agent receivers, right? Because the good ones just don't get to the market. Now, Alec Pierce kind of got to the market, but really didn't get to the market. Right. They pivoted. So I think Alec Pierce is, to me, falling into, if I need wide receiver help, I feel really comfortable paying a late first in 26 for Alec Pierce. This is a really weak rookie class this year. All the picks in your dynasty rookie drafts, even if it's super flex, are going to be predominantly wide receivers, right? We're going to see Jeremiah Love, possibly another receiver. We'll see how the draft plays out, with Price or Evan Johnson or something along those lines. One tight end, Kenyon Sadiq in there, Fernando Mendoza, and the rest are receivers. So like, if you're ready to settle for like at pick 11, 12 for the 8th best receiver, the 9th best receiver in this rookie class, that's a weak class. So you want like a Chris Brazzell, something along those lines, which you're probably looking at. Most of the receivers that are going to back end are these big, tall, take the top off speed receivers anyways. I would much rather take a guy like Alec Pierce, who's locked in 100% as with guaranteed money and the number one receiver on their team with a history of showing in this offense, this guy could be a wide receiver too. And
Yeah, I think that's a logical price point to say like, hey, picks 10 through 12. Yeah, I'd be willing to give that up for a guy like Alec Pierce. Maybe if it gets higher than that, or somebody starts talking 27 first, maybe now I'm a seller, and maybe now I'd be willing to sell Alec Pierce at that price. So
27
seems to be
first. No thanks. Like I'd rather I just rather find my like proven point elsewhere, because that's the value 27 first holds. And honestly, Garrett, you say like 10, 11, 12, like I'd listen on 9, potentially like 9, 10, right around there too. I would listen if the price is right. Again, it's an instant reactive free agency. I can see some people like, oh, Alec Pierce, he's a overpaid free agent receiver, take the top off kind of guy. Like, what a big sell for me. But I think getting a wide receiver too, like who I think let me ask you this. Do you feel Alec Pierce is a fantasy football wide receiver too in 2020, if he's healthy in 2026?
I would say a low end 2, but yes, I would say he's a 2. I would say I'm looking at like the 18 to 23 range, 18 to 24 range is kind of where I'm thinking for him.
I think the touchdowns could be there. I really do. And I got Tyler Warren there. And I think it's easy to like go back and look at healthy Daniel Jones and look at that.
He was eating. But we also have to remember
offense the first half of the year. They were putting up 40 points a game every single game.
But the offense shifted now, and now he's going up against the number 1 corner instead of the number 2 corners. He's going up the coverage is going to be different for him, and even his play style is probably going to have to change a little bit because he's in a new role. So there's some things that could shift and change. For me too, though, I am kicking the tires on Josh Downs. Because now this changed things and opened things up for a Josh Downs. He was really cheap before. I don't think his price is going to be changing too much. Maybe Tyler Warren's is the one that would go up more so, and understandably so. Which Brandy just said kind of the same thing. So yeah, I do think that that's a kind of a sneaky one to keep an eye on. And let's go ahead and talk now about Michael Pittman, because that was kind of a surprise for me. Not a surprise that he ended up getting traded, but the Steelers being the destination was kind of a deflating trade for me, because in my mind, originally I was thinking Buffalo would be amazing. How about New England? Let's get New England a big bodied guy. I'm thinking like these kind of real intriguing places. And we go to Pittsburgh, which tells me Aaron Rodgers is 100% coming back. You don't make that kind of move unless either that or they expect to sign like a Kirk Cousins or somebody like that. They're going to try to push it all in for one more year. But I don't like this at all for Michael Pittman Jr.
Really?
I don't. Right now, you have DK Metcalf, which they play a little bit different. They're both big physical players, but DK Metcalf's more of a true like vertical threat, where Michael Pittman Jr. tends to be more of a possession, move the chains kind of guy. He can make some big plays down the field too, but we'll see. But I don't love this compared to the other potential landing spots that I could have seen for Michael Pittman Jr., a New Orleans Saints, like places where he could have been like the bona fide X. Now he's kind of the number 2, even though his body profile is that of an X.
So reports I saw, again, I'm behind, is they're extending Michael Pittman Jr. They're trading and extending Michael Pittman Jr. And DK Metcalf doesn't worry me at all, right? DK Metcalf's never really worried. He's a very specific.
I would say you don't like DK, but he's obviously a factor there.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw he did not fit in that offense. He was not fantasy football relevant last year. And the fact they're going to extend Michael Pittman tells me they made a choice already too. Like once they get out from, again, talking about free agency receivers now, they traded for DK Metcalf. Like this is a contract they're going to try and get out from under. And DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman complement each other perfectly, right? Metcalf's the big, fast receiver. Again, kind of like the Alec Pierce, essentially. And Michael Pittman's going to be the short, intermediate, kind of big possession receiver. So I could actually see Michael Pittman easily outproducing DK Metcalf.
If that's how they view them, then I feel differently. I have been under the assumption, because he signed an extension when he went to Pittsburgh. So DK Metcalf signed a 4-year, $132 million extension with the Steelers. I don't think Pittman's getting that kind of money. We'll see. But I I think realistically, I think DK's the X, and then we're seeing the more. I think they're both kind of X builds, but we're going to see more of the play style of a Z, or maybe they have him as the Y. Maybe he's more of this kind of tight end hybrid. I would actually like that out
I
of
would
the
like
slot
that
for
too.
Michael Pittman Jr.
They just
That I
lost
would love.
Jonnu Smith. They just lost Jonnu Smith. They cut him. I know they're not taking play calls on Pat Fryerman. I know they got Darnell Washington too, but yeah, put him like a big slot right there.
That I would like.
Yeah, and they have a lot of holes. They have a lot. They need weapons there in Pittsburgh to move the ball to. Like they need the weapons. Definitely have a guy like Rodgers. I think he fits Pittman better than even DK Metcalf as well at this point in his career. So if they extend Michael Pittman, this is at 20 years old. This is great news for your Pittman shares, right? Like you're worried about how it's going to be in Indy. He's always been a wide receiver too. You're probably looking at like low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3, somewhere around there for Michael Pittman for how many probably targets he will see in Pittsburgh with an extension. Again, I think he would outproduce DK Metcalf. I think he obviously would help DK Metcalf as well. But, if Aaron Rodgers goes back there, like I would prefer Pittman over Metcalf out there.
We'll see. The money tells us otherwise. 3 years, $60 million is what it's looking like for Pittman versus $134 million over 4 years for.
Okay,
for
I know, but how much was that guaranteed for Metcalf?
I just got out of it.
Did you get the extension for him? For Pittman, was it 3 years, $60 million?
I believe so. Let me double check all the numbers.
That's not a lot. That $20 million a year is pretty. That's solid for a wide receiver too, like a good wide receiver too.
I don't see. Where's the guaranteed money? So he had $60 million guaranteed at signing. So it is possible they could get out. It would be an $18 million dead cap. So I don't see them doing that.
Not this year. They wouldn't get out, obviously.
No. And then 12 million the year after, then 6 million the year after that.
Okay.
So we'll see how all that plays out. Let's go to the quarterback position. Malik Willis, the first domino to fall officially at the quarterback spot. There's a lot of rumors about Tua in Atlanta potentially. Nothing official yet, so we'll keep that as speculation for the time being. Let's go to Malik Willis. Malik Willis gets a solid contract there in Miami to become their new starting quarterback. And we know that their head coach was a former Green Bay Packer the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So obviously there's some familiarity there with this guy. What do you think about Malik Willis down there? Because as much as I am okay with Willis, there's one player that I absolutely love that I do not love this signing for.
Yeah, Achane.
Don't love it for Achane.
No. Listen, former third round pick, he's going to turn 27 here soon. And he's, I mean, we talked about this on the regular show, right? What a perfect time to excel and show a couple games there at the end of the season and got him like 40 something million guaranteed. So like $22.5 million a year. And this is what a stash he was. He brings instant electricity and athleticism to this offense. And you're right. For Achane, having a mobile quarterback like this can change things up. But at the same time, it could also open things up for him in the flat, in the short area passing game. We know that Achane excels in the receiving game. He's essentially kind of a slot receiver and a running back at the same time. So this could open things up for him in space as well, having a guy like Malik Willis. I think it's so unknown with how the Miami, offense is going to run. Not a great offensive line. So look for Willis to be out of there. We don't know how he's going to be able to process here. There's so much unknowns with Willis, but like to me, of course, that should worry you a little about Achane, but it also going to be a big boost for him. If you have to spy on Willis and it opens anything up for him in the short, in the flat, on screens, like it could be great news with how twitchy and electric Achane is, right, in space. So that could even just up his PPR game on rollouts, and Achane is his safety net out there. It could be a boost for him as well. Again, we don't even know what's going to happen to Achane. Does he get extended? Does he get traded here as well? Willis, is he a bridge quarterback? I think we'll find that out here in 2026 right away because 27 is deep. So it's a perfect contract and scenario for Miami as well. Jalen Waddle, you have a big, Jalen Waddle has the speed to get downfield as well. You have a big, strong arm receiver in Malik Willis. Could have been way worse for a guy like Jalen Waddle. So this is good for Jalen Waddle. This is good. Again, I know you're worried about Achane. It doesn't overly worry about Achane.
It's not like a huge stock down or anything like that, but it's like, man, I would have obviously Tua was great there, but like you want those like older quarterbacks or less mobile guys that are more apt to check it down versus take it off and run. So the Kirk Cousins, the Mac Joneses, the guys like that. You're excited about those guys. The guys like Kyler and Malik Willis, you're a little less excited about that. But it's definitely not a death sentence, and a lot of it is going to be, yes, maybe we're losing some of the improv potential ability there, but as long as he is still schemed targets, then we're fine. Okay, so that's the big thing is, yeah, he goes from, I don't know what he was at last year, but I bet it was 100, 115 targets last year. As long as we're still seeing 80 plus targets in the receiving game, we're good. But that would be my only concern about that. So we'll see kind of how all that plays out, but it's definitely a risky proposition for a team that already kind of had a lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position over the past few years. Now with another uncertain situation, but hey, you got to take your shots, and there's only so many guys available. You might as well take the highest ceiling guy and just see what happens.
Yeah, this is a big boom bust scenario. You can look for this. Again, if Achane gets extended, that's going to tell us a lot too. Like he'll be a focal point of this offense. You can expect a lot of standard mobile quarterback offense, right? Probably a lot of heavy on the play action, a lot of RPO looking in there too. Design runs. I mean, would it shock us if Malik Willis is averaging over 6 yards per carry this year? Like, I don't think so. So from a fantasy standpoint, Malik Willis owners in Superflex, even in one QB, this is fantastic news. So again, I think a lot of, if you utilize him, Malik Willis, kind of like almost like a Lamar Jackson, right? Like, the RPO, the play action. I think it does help Achane more than anybody.
Rich, you want to do your best Mekhi Lemon impression for the? Then you got like the snake too.
I didn't see. I never watched the interview. I just saw the.
Oh, you didn't watch any of it?
No, I didn't watch it.
Let's get to some tight ends because we had some tight end news break so far. Isaiah Likely, not a huge surprise. This is something that I've been kind of talking about for a couple months now. I'm like, John Harbaugh's going to New York. Isaiah Likely's going to New York too. Like, I would be very surprised if he doesn't. And what do we see? Very first day, within the first hour, Isaiah Likely going to New York. 3-year, $40 million deal. Could be worth up to $48 million, it sounds like, with all the incentives and things like that. Seems to be a great fit. I know there's some people that really liked Theo Johnson and what he could potentially bring, but it seems like he's going to be on the back burner. That was the old regime. The new guy's in. Isaiah Likely is going to be the main guy from the go. It makes perfect sense for me. And honestly, this is great news for Jackson Dart as well.
Yeah, it's perfect fit, right? Familiar with this head coach. The offense, we don't know how the guy, obviously they lose Todd Monken there, but we know John Harbaugh likes to utilize the tight end. NFL likes to utilize the tight end, taking a big step forward. Isaiah Likely, a 25-year-old, big athletic tight end who can get downfield and definitely hit the seams, get on the outside there. So for me, it really comes down to what the Giants do at 5, right? If the Giants do what some think and take like a Carnell Tate, a receiver there, this isn't as great of news for Isaiah Likely. I don't think they go that way. I think, Harbaugh, he really does like to have that big, strong safety. I think Caleb Downs is definitely in play there for the Giants there at 5 or defense that they've been bolstering at. I think this class is so deep at receiver. I think it's kind of silly to go receiver that high. Definitely have a high pick in the second round when you can kind of get another receiver later. And you can kind of take this talent, whether it be Sonny Styles at linebacker, Caleb Downs, a defensive end. So I think that this is great news for Isaiah Likely, right? And Jackson Dart having a mobile quarterback, strong arm. You got a true number 1 in Malik Neighbors, pass catcher running backs in Scatterboot and in Tyrone Tracy. We even saw a little of like what Jackson Dart could do with Theo Johnson for a little bit there in the middle of the field and on the edge there outside the numbers. So for me, I think Isaiah Likely doesn't move too much though right now. Like he's everybody's kind of been anticipating a 25-year-old tight end hit free agency,
built in,
get paid, go in there. It's kind of like you said, built in there a little bit. I'm still intrigued like where Dallas Goedert ends up, where David Njoku ends up. Dallas Goedert at the top of that list, and I think I would go the free agent tight ends. Like I look at it where like I would take Goddard 1 still unknown, right? I take Goddard unknown, likely then Njoku, probably, and that's even knowing where Isaiah likely is. I think Goddard's still the biggest upside fantasy tight end there is, and I think he ends up somewhere pretty nice where he'll be maybe not the number 1, but the number 2 person in targets, and that's where likely finds himself right now. But like, how's that offensive going to line? We know look better with Andrew Thomas back there as well. Maybe the Giants go offensive line at 5. That'd be pretty smart as well. Protect your franchise quarterback. Maybe get it. Andrew Thomas at left tackle. Francis Maioga, he played right tackle, right? So it's another good fit there as well. But overall, Isaiah likely Dynasty, like nothing moves the needle for me. You could probably find another Isaiah likely via free agency if need be.
So where would he fall in your ranks? Like, does he sneak into the top 12, or is he going to be more in that like 13 to 16 range?
Let me bring up my ranks first, Garrett.
Let
me tell you exactly where I would kind of value him in Dynasty. Because like, okay, once you get outside of that top 6 guys, like it's so easy to trade for the old, who's doing it right now tight end that's in part of that offense, right? Because those guys pop up every single year. I think he would fall into, to me, tight end probably 12-ish. Like, here's a good one. Here's a good one.
Okay.
Isaiah Likely or Mason Taylor?
I'll go Likely.
See, I'd rather gamble on Mason Taylor.
Yeah, it's close though, but I know who his quarterback is. I've at least seen him kind of do it. I like Taylor, but there's plenty of guys that are non-first round tight ends that just don't pan out. So
no, I get that. I mean, I think that's what you're looking at. Like Mason Taylor upside, Isaiah Likely for sure. Like I like Taylor's upside, depends on the number 2 guy out there. I already mentioned Dallas Goedert. Jake Ferguson, I'd probably, Jake Ferguson or Isaiah Likely, like they're pretty close. I probably lean Likely there.
Probably Ferguson, but I don't know.
I'd lean Likely just because I think he can move better.
I might lean Likely, honestly, too. Now that I think about it.
Dalton Kincaid.
I mean, that's more a question for you than me.
Oh, dude, no brainer. No brainer. Give me Kincaid.
It would probably be Likely for me, but
give me healthy Kincaid in this offense. Kincaid didn't need surgery on that PCL, so that's encouraging. Hopefully it stays tight.
At some point, I know it's good to give a guy like injury excuse.
I know,
but sometimes it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, that just means you're always injured.
I know. This is even for me on a love situation. This is it. This is it. Like I don't listen. Divorce isn't friendly to anybody, right? It hurts the kids, it hurts the family members, hurts the in-laws. If you're tight. So like, I hope it doesn't come to that. I really don't. But I believe. Like I still believe. I still believe. I just need you to be here for me. But I need you.
I just need you to show up.
And honestly, I just need you here September to December. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I need you for. That's it. That's not asking a whole lot, right? Like,
no,
you can go out and be with your friends. Dude, you got to get a hobby. Just be here for me. It's cold out.
All right, let's stay at the tight end position. Cade Otton goes back to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Which some people thought maybe he would, sneak out there, find another home. Nope, he stays put in Tampa Bay, which, has been kind of crowded in recent years. Now, it seems all but a done deal that Mike Evans is gone. So that does kind of help open things up. But this is probably not the most exciting fantasy option, but he kind of falls in line with those like Hunter Henrys of year past, where it's like, worst case scenario, I'm just going to, at the end of a draft Cade Otton, and he'll be like a pretty steady option if I need him.
Yeah, dude, he falls in like, there's nothing different between Chig Okonkwo and Cade Otton. There's not, honestly, even right now, depending on what happened, there's not a huge, massive difference between Oronde Gadsden, who we love, and Cade Otton. Cade Otton has lived in this past year with mostly just two guys on the field. So you say, oh, Mike Evans is gone. Well, Chris Godwin was gone before. And Mecca was beaten up. He's a solid tight end. The security, again, Okonkwo, Brenton Strange in Jacksonville. Cade Otton's a perfect kind of example, I could trade for later. If Cade Otton, someone having to get Chris Godwin, right? And Cade Otton all of a sudden, weeks 7 on for the rest of the season was tight end 7 or 6 or 5.
Wouldn't surprise anyone.
Wouldn't surprise anybody. But for the most part, he's going to live in that dead zone range, which is tight end 9 to tight end 17. And there's a lot of other guys that we're going to see emerge. AJ Barner has a better chance, I think, to excel in Seattle than a guy like Cade Otton I'd rather have. Oronde Gadsden, somebody we mentioned. Dalton Schultz just re-signed in Houston, who he came off a year last year as tight end 10. So he's somebody kind of live in that range. What happens with Juwan Johnson or Cade Otton, right? Who's going to be involved more this year in this offense? And that's what we have to find out. So when we were talking about before, what would you do for Isaiah Likely? I'd rather just go ahead and wait and go ahead and trade for the Cade Otton, the Dalton Schultz when I need them, the guy that I know is producing. Because we know those guys all live in that world of similarity, right? They're all the same person.
Yeah, no, very much so. Guys, couple reminders. We have 200 some live watchers right now, which really appreciate you tuning in, hanging out with us. Please make sure to hit that like button while you're here. Make sure other people can find us as well. Also, leave some comments. We are starting to get through all the guys that have signed so far. Obviously, breaking news will happen. We'll cover those guys as that news comes in. But go ahead and hit us up with some of your questions. We'll answer those as we go. This one here, the actual player itself signing really has no ripple effect, or has no effect in and of itself, but it does add some ripple effects in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So I do want to cover it. Austin Hooper signs a 1-year, $3.25 million deal to go back to Atlanta. So he goes back to Kevin Stefanski, who he's had as a head coach before, goes back to where he started. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is there. It doesn't mean anything. But here's the things that it does potentially mean. A, the likelihood of Atlanta, there was rumor that a David Njoku could go there or something like that, pair up. That's kind of out the window now. They have their tight end too. They have their guy that's going to block and whatnot. But potentially even bigger, that opens up a spot in New England, which now we could be seeing, well, New England, if they can't get the wide receiver that they want, and obviously top guy already off the board, Alec Pierce, could there be a tight end that ends up going to New England, signing a bigger deal, something like that? So we'll kind of have to wait and see if there's anything that plays out. But obviously the other spot in Atlanta gone now because of Austin Hooper. And same thing, or same team, I should say, Olamide Zaccheaus going to Atlanta as well, signing a free agent deal. He was the first guy signed. So they were
Luther Burden people are even more excited now.
Even more excited
dude, now, Chicago's set, right? It's Luther Burden, Romo Odunze, Colston Loveland. I just made a big move for Colston Loveland, massive move.
Oh yeah, that was what we were texting about.
Yeah. I needed youth. I had no tight end whatsoever, so I traded Garrett Wilson. I'm sure most people are going to hate this deal, but I'm a big Garrett Wilson guy who's only 25. I traded Jamar Chase for Garrett Wilson, Colston Loveland in a 27 and 28 second, 2 seconds.
I love that deal personally, but it's because of
Loveland?
It's because of Loveland. Yeah.
You love some love.
I mean,
I love
Loveland's floor. If Loveland just hits his floor, it's a pretty even trade. If Loveland hits his ceiling, you crush that deal. So that's what we'll have to kind of wait.
I think Loveland could surpass what Tyler Warren did last year, and Tyler Warren was tight end 4 last year. I don't expect Travis Kelce to be tight end 3 last year. I think we're going to live in the Kyle Pitts, Trey McBride, with Brock Bowers there. And I think Loveland's definitely has a chance to kind of get into that world. So that's why I kind of did make that move. And you're right, Zaccheaus goes there. Hunter Henry in New England, who's got a good rapport with Drake May. But, I mean, they have no receivers. They just cut Stephon Diggs as well. We talked about Kyle Williams possibly being upside there, what they're going to do at receiver. And I would not be surprised if they brought they could bring in a guy like David Njoku and run a lot of 12 personnel out there for Drake May too. But right now, Hunter Henry a winner. Austin Hooper has not been a winner since he was in Atlanta for the first half of the season. Big deal.
We've got two big breaking news ones here, Rich.
I'm glad you're on this because I'm just staring at a stream. I have no normally I'm at my phone, Twitter, refresh. Yeah. But now I'm just staring at you.
Ones.
Big
one
ones, huh?
is directly tied to fantasy. One's indirectly tied to fantasy, but very significant.
Is it a running back?
What's that?
Is it a running back?
There is a running back one. Tyler Algier.
Oh, yeah.
Going to Arizona. Arizona Cardinals. So RIP Trey Benson. They've got Tyler Algier, and they just re-signed James Conner. The interesting part about that is they were rumored to be one of the teams interested in Jeremiah Love at 3.
Yeah.
So two of the teams interested potentially in Love at 3 and 9, which seemed to be his starting point and ending point, are now both out the window seemingly.
I think so. Tennessee was always my guess.
Tennessee would be real interesting. I'm praying that it is not New York Giants. That would suck really bad.
That would suck.
My favorite personally, Washington Commanders. Would love him in Washington.
Oh yeah, that's 6 to midnight deal kind of right there for sure. I like him in Tennessee a lot. Jeremiah Love. Tyler Algier to Arizona. I think it tells us. Listen, I think Trey Benson's knee might have been worse than we all thought it was, right? Maybe. It's just one of those knee injuries, not good. I know James Conner restructured the contract. It could be like pennies on the dollar for all we know. And honestly, like he ruptured his Achilles, didn't he? Was it Achilles injury?
I'd have to go back and look and see what the injury was. But.
So like even that, like what is the restructure? What's the guaranteed money on James Conner's restructure? Is it like pennies on the dollar kind of thing there? You know, like Tyler Algier is probably the best running back now on the roster. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Getting paid like it. I mean, it's a 2-year, $12.25 million year, so a little over $6 million a year. So solid deal. Nothing crazy, but solid deal. Less than Kenny Gainwell though.
Know what it tells me? I don't want anything to do with anybody in Arizona. You know, like Trey Benson, RIP. What could have been? James Conner, hell of a career. You've accomplished so much. You've overcome so much. But now it's
you could tell how they felt about James Conner though, because they signed a guy that is arguably the most closest player comp available to him in Tyler Algier.
And I was actually kind of pumped about my Trey Benson shares. So I was like, oh, dude, Trey Benson's got to compete with a guy coming off an Achilles injury who's 31 years old. Like, I'm back, baby. Then they get Tyler Algier $6 million. You're like, dude. It was like I came up for one last of breath. I thought I was safe from the Titanic, not realize I have hypothermia. Down with the ship.
The one that is indirectly linked to fantasy, though, and I think this is huge, and I'm actually ecstatic about it. Tyler Lindenbaum signs with the Raiders, which is great news for Ashton Genty, because that was the big thing holding him back last year was just such poor offensive line play. Now, granted, my first choice would have been the Cleveland Browns. I would have loved that the most.
Raiders got all the money.
But they've got all the money.
And the Chargers got all the money, too. Spend some money, Chargers. Poke them with the
3 years, $81 million.
What?
Yeah. They're spending that money. But hey, you got to protect your new quarterback in Mendoza, and you got to get your running back some yards. So, like you said earlier, if we're going to spend $30 million a year on Alec Pierce, this is still cheaper than Alec Pierce. I'll take it all day.
Dude, center. Dude. 20, what is that? 20, almost, it's almost $30 million a year.
Yeah.
27.
Yeah, you're looking at a $27 million a year
for
deal.
A center?
I mean, if we're going to do it for Alec Pierce, I'd rather do it for Lindenbaum all day.
Dude, athletes, man. Gladiators of our day and age. God bless the center. Like I'm a big sign. Dude, now is there gonna be like sign guards in free agency? Now you just got sign centers or like draft centers do that?
Maybe.
Like wild on these streets.
Yeah, it's
good for Ashton Genty though.
That's fantastic for Ashton Genty.
Fernando, dude, the rate. Think about this. Like again, everybody's gonna push. I said this recently in an episode. Like I'm probably higher on Fernando Mendoza than most. You know, even from a fantasy standpoint. Like they got Ashton Genty. They got Brock Bowers. They just bring in the best center in free agency and one of the best centers in football as well. And for Mendoza, with all that free agency money, build that line around him, get him a true number one receiver as well. Like, he's going to be in a good spot to be protected. Because what is the biggest thing we argue? Like, Mendoza, if he has time in the pocket, protect him. He's lights out, right? Crazy accurate, can put the ball at all three levels, inside the numbers, outside the numbers. So that's a huge, massive signing for them. And to kind of pull that Chicago move and re-sign the offensive line, that's really good news. You said Ashton Genty, but also for Fernando Mendoza.
Absolutely.
If you're on that question mark in Superflex, because again, it's always so tempting in a league when, in Superflex, you always want to grab those positional players. Like just, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon.
Here's the crazy part too, Rich. For fantasy football purposes, think of this. They are building up that offense. They just traded away Max Crosby, their only real threat on defense at all. Yeah. And now they have 2 firsts this year and 2 firsts next year because of that deal. So now all of a sudden, this could end up turning into a Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott situation where the defense is just so bad that this team could be playing in shootouts consistently if the offense can keep up. That's going to be the big question, is how quickly does this offense adapt? But this offense could be playing in some of these shootout type games all the time because their defense is going to be terrible and they're going to have so much on the offensive side of the ball. So that's not necessarily great for NFL, but for fantasy purposes, amazing.
Unless, because they have a lot of money, if I could get 2 firsts for Max Crosby, I'm immediately just turn around. I got those 2 firsts, and I'm just going to go ahead and pay Trey Hendrickson. That's what I would do. Like, what a win.
I mean, they have it. They already made the deal, so
yeah,
they have
that's what, that's what I would do. Like, oh, dude, I got 2 firsts, and I can get a guy who's, like, pretty comparable to Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. Like, oh, perfect. I'll just pay him. I'll pay him.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how all of this ends up playing out. But that, I think we're caught up now.
Okay.
Let's get to some of these questions here that people have been asking. Mega asks, should I trade the 108 for Kenneth Walker? 108 for Kenneth easily. I would trade 108 and 109 for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I would go as high as, in this class, I would go as high as 1.5 for Kenneth Walker.
So you would give up 1.5?
Yeah, as long as like my 1.5 wasn't like I had no hopes. Like I just needed some help. Because there's no running backs in this. Like we're doing our running back episodes tomorrow. Don't think we're digging deep and finding some diamonds in the rough. Because, take out the word diamond and just leave the word rough. Like it's like guys are capable, like solid, like a guy like Katron Allen? It's already
from Penn State.
Yeah. I think he's like the epitome of that class where it's like, oh, dude, that dude's like real solid. Like he's got really good vision and stuff. He doesn't have the athleticism just to get it done. Like he's got good feet. He's got like he plants his foot well. Like he has the vision. He knows what to do. He doesn't have the explosiveness or anything to get it done. And it's like there's so many like wins and losses in this running back class. So I have a chance to get a guy like Kenneth Walker for 1.8. I'm with you, Garrett. Like I'd probably give, if I had 1.8 and 1.9, I'm a contender. I'm a sinner because I had 2 first-round picks. I need a running back. Like, yeah, I'd be willing to do that.
I would do it, absolutely. Question on Alec Pierce. What dynasty pick would Alec Pierce be equivalent to? We kind of talked about this in the beginning on what we were kind of thinking as far as he goes. But he was another one that we would say a late first, we would probably be willing to give it for Alec Pierce. If it's any more than that, probably looking to sell then Alec Pierce.
Yeah, a late first and 26. Hold on to my 27 picks. You could just do probably more for sure. And listen, that's a risk because Alec Pierce could turn into a superstar. Who knows? But like, I'm not paying 27 first. But I think I said anywhere from probably like, if I needed receiver help, 1.9 to 1.12. And even then, like I'm exploring my options like DJ Moore, who pretty much got 85 million, 3 years guaranteed there in Buffalo for the most part, like 85 million, like guaranteed. Like, is DJ Moore cheaper than Alec Pierce? One of those categories. Always test the waters, but again, it's all about availability. But I think a late first for Alec Pierce in 26 is more than fair.
Okay. Let's see. What do we think of Colston Loveland now that DJ Moore is gone? We started talking about that a little bit as well. Kind of, I mean, I honestly think it's wheels up for that entire offense. I think they have their big 3. They have their 3 guys that, last year was kind of the audition year. Let's see how everything works out. We think we got some old guys on the way out and Moore and Zacchaeus and all that. And that's kind of how it proved out. We're going to stick with these young guns. We've got a now 3rd-year receiver, Romo Dunze, 2nd-year receiver in Luther Burden. And then we got the tight end in Colston Loveland. And I think for me, realistically, I think Odunze and Luther Burden, yes, very exciting players, but I think there are going to be times where they're, competing against each other a little bit. But I think it's great news for Colston Loveland. I think he could legitimately become the number 1 there.
Yeah, well, he was a 10th overall pick in the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has a legit chance to be the number 1 option in that offense. Tight ends are usually a 2 to 3 year window. If you look at Colston Loveland at the last third of the season from weeks 12 on in PPR leagues, he was tight end 3 overall, only behind Trey McBride and Kyle Pitts, averaging almost 14 points per game, which is going to put you kind of in that elite category. I know Harold Fannin averaged 14.6 points per game, but missed a game there. So I think Colston Loveland 100% has a chance again to enter that top tier category. And if you missed it earlier, I did trade Jamar Chase for Garrett Wilson and Colston Loveland. That's how much I believed.
Breaking news from our guy Thomas in the stream, confirmed on on Twitter here. Travis Etienne to the Saints.
Okay, that's a good fit.
Etienne to the Saints. That's an interesting Alvin Kamara replacement because stylistically, not drastically different players.
Yeah, Etienne's a little bit more explosive, definitely at this point in the year.
At this
pass
point,
catch and running back. You have Chris Olave. You've got Tyler Shuck there as well. So that's a good fit. It's a good fit for him. I wonder what the money is, but I guarantee it's starter money. Like he just redid Kamara's deal too to be able to get off of that. So that's a great fit. But Etienne was going to land somewhere.
At least double digits. I don't know what it is, but I'm guessing at least double digits.
Yeah, like it'd been real interesting to see Etienne, like Denver would have been an interesting spot, but now I can kind of see like Rico Dowdle going to Denver and kind of being relevant again too. That seemed like a good fit. Now
I could see that. Seattle's a place for Rico. I could potentially see now that Kenneth Walker's gone.
Oh yeah, that'd be another solid fit as well.
Because he's an older guy, he's there with Charbonnet, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think Travis Etienne here. I think this isn't quite the rocket ship that we had with Kenneth Walker, but obviously it's good news for him, a team that could use a running back. The ideal destination for him, for me, was I want to see who goes to Washington. That's the kind of next really exciting spot for me is Washington. But once again, we're seeing teams that were potentially in the Jeremiah Love sweepstakes kind of starting to dry up a little bit now in free agency here. So now we had Arizona, that's gone. Kansas City, that's gone. And now New Orleans, that's gone. So the 3 most likely seeming destinations at this point, Tennessee, Washington, and New York Giants.
Yeah, and do they help? Like, so Etienne go to Saints. Like, you look at the Saints last year; they were like one of the worst running teams in the NFL altogether. Obviously Kamara is a little bit washed, but when it came to like rushing yards, they were 28th in rushing yards. They only averaged 94 per game. They had only 435 rushing attempts. They only averaged 3.7 yards per carry. Only 9 rushing touchdowns on the year, which is 27th. In their longest run of the year, they had no explosiveness. It says here it was 34 yards. So. Looking for a running back that can take the top off, a big time signing like a guy like Travis Etienne going there will help, I think, Tyler Shuck, and it gives him an opportunity to kind of be a running back 1 potentially. Definitely involved in the passing game. Again, Etienne has already got, he had the top 4 overall finish a couple years ago, right? Mm-hmm. That was a couple years ago. And then last year, Etienne ended up being running back 8. No, it wasn't running back 8. He was 1 through 17. Where was Etienne finishing here? Was he hurt at the end of the year, Etienne?
I'm pretty sure he finished top 12. Did he not?
He was running back 10.
Okay.
Yeah. He was running back 10 on the year, averaged 15.6 points per game. That's elite territory for running back, right? Like he's going to live in that like Derrick Henry kind of range, a couple points per game less than like James Cook. But again, for the Saints here, like, what do you want? You want a pass catcher running back that's going to be the guy. That's what you're looking for in fantasy football. Like that's it. You give me a 2 to 3 year window. Anything over that is a cherry on top, massive bonus. Kind of like we're getting Kyron Williams from this point. So Etienne has a chance to do what Garrett, we do the show all the time. Realistically, what most running backs don't ever do, which is give you 3 running back 1 seasons in their career. Like that's a
huge.
major accomplishment from any kind of running back, no matter what the draft capital and why they don't do it. Etienne's already got 2 under his belt. So going to see the Saints, if he stays healthy, has another chance to re-enter that category and give you a 3. I'm sure the deal is probably going to be in that, probably 2 years guaranteed as well. So you got 2 years of Travis Etienne. Probably a floor of a running back too. But his pass catching upside and his explosiveness will always kind of give him that running back 1 upside.
Absolutely. All right. A couple different things coming in here, flying in. Next big one, A Copel letting us know, breaking news for us here. Wan'Dale Robinson to the Tennessee Titans. We knew that was coming. 4 years, $78 million. $38 million of that is guaranteed. So less than $20 million a year. I'll say this. I know Alec Pierce is good. If I can have Alec Pierce or Wan'Dale Robinson for $10 million cheaper, I'm probably going Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, good news for Cam Ward. Follows his, follows the trail of the coaching staff like over there. Heavy target, route wide receiver. Cam Ward, an efficient passer of the football. So should be good news for Wan'Dale Robinson as well. Obviously, they're paying him to come in here and be the guy. The big thing is he's got no competition. What do they do at receiver as well? If Wan'Dale is going to be the guy, he's already a heavy target receiver. If they're efficient targets, you're looking at probably a potential wide receiver 2 here.
Yeah.
But that was like everybody saw him go. Like all the news was him all offseason.
Everyone.
He's going like one stable. He's going to Tennessee.
Yep. That was an obvious fit, and that's how it ended up being. A guy that you and I were talking about in the offseason, Rich, as like I want to see where he goes in free agency. He could kind of be a little bit of an under the radar name. Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson also goes to the Falcons. So the Falcons have been very, very busy in free agency, adding pass catchers. Olamide Zaccheaus, Austin Hooper, and now Jahan Dotson. But honestly, I like that fit quite a bit for Dotson, because now what you have is why am I blanking? They're big. Drake London at X. You have Jahan Dotson at the Z, Olamide Zaccheaus at the slot, and then Kyle Pitts at tight end. That's really good for either Penix or maybe it ends up being Tua. But
all reports are saying Tua's going to Atlanta.
Yeah,
2 lefties.
So it really filling out everything nicely, and then you have Bijan Robinson that has the backfield to himself now at this point. So all good news, all kind of wheels up right now for that Atlanta offense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zaccheaus was the first one that signed there, but Jahan Dotson was on our super sneaky free agent radar, the former first-round pick out there. So likelihood of ever being significant, slim to none. Well, definitely when you have Bijan there, when you have Pitts, who's just franchised, you got Drake London now. Like, you're the 3rd to 4th best option in that offense altogether. And the quarterback situation is so murky.
Yeah. So it's looking like about $13 million a year for ETN, 4 years, $52 million. So that's a good contract.
That's a good. How much guaranteed to say?
It doesn't say. The deals. Yeah. The numbers are just kind of coming in now.
But so it's almost it's pretty much Kenneth Walker money.
Yeah, not far off. He got what, $15 million a year. So
that's for a running back. That's serious money. $13 million. We're seeing the running back contracts kind of creep up a little bit too. Like guys like Bijan, Gibbs, Achane. They're going to get paid.
Oh, they're going to be getting monster numbers next year. Not something we often get to say, but Jerry Jones looking pretty smart for locking up Javonte quickly, because Javonte in the open market, it looks like, would have been due. I mean, if Kenneth Gainwell is getting 7 and we're getting 6.25 for Algier, and these guys are getting 13 to 15, I think Javonte would be pushing probably $10 million a year. So was probably a real good signing there for Jerry Jones. So give him credit where credit's due. All right, let's see. Let's get to a couple more of these questions that we haven't gotten to. Jay asked, any Algier talk, or did I miss it? We did already talk Tyler Algier. Like the landing spot, it's a fine spot for him. I don't think it's one of the highest ceiling, but they clearly have a type. James Conner, very similar type of player to Tyler Algier. I think he's going to be a very solid, steady player there. But realistically, we still just have a lot of unknown. We don't know what's going on with Trey Benson. We don't know what's going on with James Conner. Could get kind of murky in the process. So we'll see kind of how all of this plays out.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Arizona's backfield, which what sucks is over the last couple of years have been pretty solid in the run game from a fantasy football perspective. James Conner's out there pushing on numbers, but coming up the Achilles injury, Trey Benson's knee probably is not good at all after spending that kind of draft capital on him, and bringing back James Conner and then signing Tyler Algier tells us a lot about that. There's a chance he's a guy, but even in Arizona's offense, I don't know. I'm staying away. The Arizona offensive line's not great.
All right. Thick Merc says Neighbors for Tet, Shuck, and 209. I would need to know, first of all, is this a super flex? Because if it's not super flex, definitely sticking with Neighbors. But if it's super flex, that is a pretty interesting one because realistically, you get an opportunity here for a potential starting quarterback. We'll have to see kind of how all of that plays out. But Neighbors for Tet, Shuck, and 209. What do you think?
Ted had a really solid rookie year, right? Came in, finished as wide receiver 15 overall. If it would depend on my quarterback 2 situation, 209 that's meaningless to me, to be honest with you. It doesn't really that doesn't even move the needle at all. I would actually prefer a 27-second. Like if I can counter and be like, dude, give me a 27-second, I'll lean a little bit more that way. Shuck got better every single week last year. He was able to push the ball, outside the numbers, downfield. He looked pretty good. So they might have found their quarterback in the second round there for a couple of years. And if I need a quarterback too, if I need to pivot off of Neighbors, like that's the perfect example of a receiver I want to go ahead and do it for. So, because I know my floor isn't too low. Neighbors are going to offer you a higher upside, but Tet, you're probably getting even like a Mike Evans kind of guy. You're out there in Carolina, which, he might not give you like that wide receiver 1 overall potential, but you're probably looking at like wide receiver 7 to wide receiver 12. If the offense plays well enough and Bryce Young can play good there, I'd be okay with it in Superflex if I needed a quarterback. Like he's my quarterback too and get young. And the big thing is you're getting young, you're staying young too. But I'd really want to counter with that 27-second over 2.9, because 2.9 to me is literally, I feel like I'm just such a gamble.
Yeah, no, I absolutely hear you. For some reason, Matt, the question isn't showing up in our stream, but I see that you did it. So I'm going to read it off YouTube real quick. Matt says, my 12-team Dynasty startup, I have May and Hurts. So he's in a startup right now. He already has May and Hurts. Mahomes fell to me at 310. Should I draft him even though I have no position players yet? This is a tight end premium 12-team Dynasty startup.
Yeah. Draft Mahomes and trade Hurts.
Yep. And honestly, I'm not necessarily saying trade Hurts. I know you're much lower on him than I am. But I have no problem trading any of those quarterbacks. Like, yeah, you draft the best available player, and then you see who everybody wants. If there's a player there that everybody's like, oh shoot, because that's what's going to happen. Teams are going to get to the 6th, 7th, 8th round, realize I only have one quarterback, or I don't have any quarterbacks that I want, and then all of a sudden they're going to get desperate and start trying to give you something. So I would stick with it, assuming here's the only caveat that I'll give. The only caveat I'll give is, and I get it's a startup, so maybe you don't know yet, is assuming it's an active league. If it's not an active league, that's where it can really jack things up. But assuming you're joining a league where guys enjoy trading, enjoy making moves, things like that, it's an easy yes for me. But it might be hard to know that if you're just at the startup.
Yeah, startup's best player available, figured out later, right? Like he's going to get you what you need, probably plus. If you're thin at receiver, at running back, you probably get the running back plus. I said the big thing is as the draft kind of prolongs here, you'll realize somebody's going to miss out on quarterback, and their quarterback 2 is like, because now even like, imagine like a young quarterback, Michael Penix is about to lose value, right? Like, so there's value lost there even. with the unknown. JJ McCarthy potentially going to lose value here, like a Kirk Cousins signing. So you will be able to move one of those guys. I'm with you. Who do you take? He said Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart. Is that who it was?
He has May, Hurts, and Mahomes.
Yeah. So I'm holding May no matter what, and then I'm flipping Mahomes or Hurts, whoever somebody wants, and I'm gonna get where it wants. The first thing I would do is like hopefully kind of pay attention who misses out on quarterback, and then because obviously they'll be heavier at receiver or whatever, and just target the receiver that went like right after Hurts, because obviously he took Hurts higher. Hey man, I know you missed out on there. You probably wish you would have taken Hurts in hindsight because you're good at receiver here. Give me that receiver you took.
Now, he said, here's the players available in case this changes your mind.
Okay.
Loveland, the 102, and Tetaroa McMillan, all still available. Would you have in your overall rankings, still have Mahomes ahead of all those guys? Because I do in my rankings, but it is close with Tet.
So that changes a little bit. This is where it comes down to in a startup too. Like when you say best player available, it's also in tiers, right? So like for me, when I'm looking at that, like, man, I have an opportunity to take Pat Mahomes. Like, that's just great value right there. But in the third round, get in a 22-year-old receiver who's coming off wide receiver 15, who's a clear-cut number one. That's the kind of guy you'd want to move for Mahomes plus anyways, right? And the plus isn't going to be drastic at that point. Obviously, quarterbacks slipping a little bit in that draft. I would probably go ahead and just take Garrett. Like, that's what I would probably do.
I'm fine either way on that. I'm fine
either way too. Because Mahomes, like the same thing. Like if you draft Mahomes, who are you targeting? Because you're not getting the tier one guys. You're not getting the JSNs, the Chases, not in the neighbors category. So you'd want to get on that door, the Tet as well. It's a startup too, so it's not like you don't have as much leverage because teams are gonna be a little bit more balanced as well. So you're probably not gonna get the perfect value that you wanted because people had already passed up Mahomes at this point too, right? So they already passed him up as well. So I think there's a lot of other different ways players you name. I'd probably say no, take Mahomes, but I'm taking Tet McMillan there. If you take Pat, that's fine, but I'm taking Tet because you still have to build a team in Superflex. Yeah. So when you say best player available, it's not like you're going down a rank set. You're living in tiers, and Tet's in that tier.
So for me, the order would be Tet, Mahomes, Loveland, 102.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing it for Loveland. Like I would take Mahomes over Loveland. As much as I love that, like I could find a tight end and I could live on a tight end on a year-to-year basis if I need to. Like obviously if you can lock one up long term, that's a great thing to have. Definitely the elite guys. And Loveland can turn into that, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Tet. He's gonna be much harder to get, and his value can only go obviously can go down, but his value can go up.
More than likely.
So I would take Tet right now over probably. I mean, just like I would take Tet McMillan over Jordan Tyson.
Yes, I would. Oh yeah, absolutely, I would. All right, let's see. Brandy's been pretty solid so far, so I'm gonna put it up there, and I'm gonna see if it's true. But Jalen Naylor to the Raiders, 3 years, $35 million. That's a lot for a guy that hasn't done much yet, but he's shown some promise there. And at this point, to have a receiver that's even has a chance of starting, you're paying at least $8 to $9 million anyway. So not 100% a huge amount above that. What do you think of that, Rich?
Yeah, that's just Naylor was that Minnesota receiver. People are talking about like, oh, he's a sneaky guy, buy low, guys that won't see coming that got paid. That's a very standard free agency contract. 3 years, 35. What's it guaranteed? Nothing crazy. That's not big time money. 23 guaranteed. Yeah, so that could essentially be a 1 year deal. They can get out from under that. They wouldn't really care. But even they'll live with that because like Jalen Naylor could slide in and be a number two. Obviously on the Raiders, you could be the number one right out the get. But another weapon for Fernando Mendoza. You know, the big thing for Naylor here, he's getting a very good quarterback to come in as well. You got a strong running game. You got Brock Bowers there as well. He's only 27 years old. He could kind of be the guy that kind of gets uptick there because of his quarterback situation, but there'll be a number one big time weapon that comes offset. But Jalen Naylor always kind of slid in as a number two receiver in the NFL. And with the way the receiving position kind of took a step back this year, it doesn't overly excite me because I still expect the offense to run through Brock Bowers. So potential to be, I mean, if Naylor ended up being wide receiver 24 this year for 1 year, like, okay, no big deal, whatever, he'd be a sell. if he's the number one in Raiders, probably more locked in is that wide receiver 3, potentially.
Yep.
Around there. But like even that, there's too many teams that have 2 good receivers. Remember, there's 32 teams. There's 36 top 3 receivers living at tier. Like T. Higgins, Jameson Williams, George Pickens. Like there's so many other receivers that kind of push a guy like Jalen Nailor out. With no Max Crosby, you mentioned before, like trailing, like Nailor's got the speed as well. And Fernando Mendoza's got that deep ball accuracy to help as well. So he could be a kind of a big play receiver there. So probably right around, you wouldn't be surprised if Nailor slides into like that 80 catch kind of potential, 80, 90 catches, which could be like a wide receiver 3.
I mean, well, if he's getting 80, 90 catches, he's pushing up towards wide receiver 1 territory if he's getting that many catches.
Okay, maybe.
Or do you mean targets?
Targets. Yeah, sorry.
Yes. Okay, 80, 90 targets. Then we're looking at like 60 catches or something like that.
He's never had more than 30 in a season, you know. Never really going over 500 yards. He's an upside stash, right? Who fits in as a wide receiver 2. He's being paid as a wide receiver 2.
All right, I think we're gonna probably start wrapping things up here. We've been on for about an hour and 20 minutes now. I think this one, absolutely, Jay. Good news for Bayshore Tootin owners at this point. You have most of the big names gone. Could we see an Isaiah Pacheco, a J.K. Dobbins, somebody like that come in and make things annoying for Tootin? Absolutely. But right now, does it look like he's going to be given every opportunity to try to earn that starting role? Absolutely. The sneaky one to watch out for, though, is LaQuint Allen. Like, don't give up on LaQuint Allen, a guy that, even though he didn't get as many touches, look at the snap share. He was in every single game. They used him to pass protect. They used him to catch. He could be one where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like a very, very relevant running back that you got for absolutely nothing. So I don't want people to sleep on that simply because you're getting him for free. And if it doesn't work, who cares? But
yeah,
a guy with some high potential if things were to go right.
We've talked about him multiple times on the podcast. Very solid passing game, just enough power. He could work between the tackles as well. He did do it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys. Rich, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
See y'all this week talking running backs.